Dr. Zafira Krell adjusted the quantum scanner for the 100th time that morning, her four-fingered hands trembling with excitement. The Galactic Survey Commission had been mapping dangerous worlds for 3 centuries, but nothing had prepared the Altarian xenobiologist for what she was seeing on her screens. "Captain Thorne, you need to see this," she called across the bridge of the research vessel, Starweaver. Her voice carried the distinctive harmonic undertones of her species, making even urgent reports sound musical. Captain Vex Thorne, a grizzled Centauran with scales that had dulled from purple to gray over his long career, approached the scanner station. His multiple eyes focused on the holographic display, showing a blue and green world spinning lazily in the void. "What's got you so worked up, Doc?" "It's just another Class M planet." "Not just any Class M, Captain." Zephyra's tendrils fluttered with nervous energy. "This world registers the highest danger rating I've ever recorded. Look at these readings." The holographic display shifted to show environmental data, streaming in columns of alien text. Atmospheric pressure readings, gravitational measurements, radiation levels, and biological threat assessments painted a picture that made even the experienced captain's breathing slits flutter in alarm. "Gravity is 1.2 times standard," Zafira continued, her voice growing more excited and terrified with each detail. "The atmosphere contains a highly reactive gas called oxygen at dangerous concentrations. The surface experiences temperature fluctuations that would kill most known species." And that's just the beginning. She manipulated the controls, bringing up geological scans. The planet's surface is covered in liquid acid that they somehow call water. It falls from the sky regularly in an event they term rain. The land masses are broken and unstable, with frequent seismic events and volcanic eruptions. Captain Thorne's veteran calm began to crack. In his 40 years of exploration, he had seen worlds that could melt starship hulls and creatures that could consume entire colonies. But the readings from this planet defied everything he knew about habitable worlds. "There's more," Zafira whispered, her tendrils now quivering uncontrollably. "The biological scans are impossible. This world hosts the most aggressive collection of predators I've ever encountered. Microscopic organisms that invade and consume other life forms from within. Massive carnivores with crushing jaws and razor teeth. Creatures that inject venom capable of shutting down nervous systems in seconds." The scanner displayed images of the planet's life forms. Sharks cutting through the water with prehistoric efficiency. Crocodiles waiting motionless for prey. Spiders spinning deadly traps. Lions hunting in coordinated packs. Each creature seemed designed by some malevolent intelligence to kill as efficiently as possible. "And the plant life," Zafira continued, her voice barely audible now. "Trees that can reach heights of over 100 meters, competing for sunlight by growing so tall they should collapse under their own weight. Flowers that produce compounds toxic to most known biology. Fungi that consume and break down organic matter so aggressively that dead tissue is recycled within days. Navigator Quilks, a Delphian whose crystalline structure allowed him to process vast amounts of spatial data, looked up from his position. "Doctor, are you certain about these readings? A world this hostile couldn't possibly support complex life. The evolutionary pressures alone would prevent any species from advancing beyond basic survival." "That's what I thought too," Zafira replied, bringing up atmospheric analysis. "But look at this. The oxygen levels are not just present, they're actively maintained. Something is producing this gas in massive quantities despite its corrosive properties. And the temperature regulation suggests a complex ecosystem that has somehow achieved balance despite the hostile conditions." Captain Thorne studied the data, his military mind processing the implications. "This world should be quarantined immediately. Mark it as a Class Omega threat. No ship should come within a light year of this nightmare." "Sir?" Communications Officer Lyra interrupted from her station, her gossamer wings fluttering with agitation. I'm detecting something unusual. There are electromagnetic signatures coming from the planet's surface. Volcanic activity? The captain asked. No, sir. These appear to be artificial. The bridge fell silent except for the gentle hum of life support systems. Zephyr's scanner automatically focused on the electromagnetic sources, and what appeared on the display sent a chill through every crew member present. Geometric structures dotted the planet's surface, vast networks of straight lines cutting across continents. Bright points of light scattered across the dark side of the world in patterns too regular to be natural. By the 7 moons, Captain Thorne breathed, there's intelligent life down there. Impossible, Quillick said, his crystalline form resonating with disbelief. No sapient species could evolve on a world that hostile. The energy requirements alone for maintaining civilization against those environmental pressures would be astronomical. Zephyra was running detailed scans, her equipment working at maximum capacity to penetrate the planet's turbulent atmosphere. I'm detecting massive energy signatures, some kind of infrastructure that spans entire continents. And Captain, I'm reading biosignatures. Lots of them. How many? Thorne asked, though he dreaded the answer. Billions, sir. Whatever species lives down there, they're not just surviving, they're thriving. The crew exchanged glances filled with incomprehension and growing fear. The most dangerous world any of them had ever encountered was not only inhabited, but populated by a species that had somehow turned this hellish environment into home. We need to contact the Galactic Council immediately, Captain Thorne decided. This discovery changes everything we thought we knew about the limits of life. As Zephyra continued her scans, more impossible details emerged. The inhabitants had somehow learned to harness the planet's violent weather patterns. They had built structures that could withstand the crushing gravity and corrosive atmosphere. They had turned the aggressive ecosystem to their advantage. Sir, Lyra called out again, her voice tight with fear. I'm detecting movement in orbit around the planet. The tactical display shifted to show objects moving in precise patterns around the world. Artificial satellites and space stations, evidence of a species that had not only survived their hostile homeworld, but had escaped its gravitational embrace. They're spacefaring, Thorne realized with growing dread. A species that evolved on the galaxy's most dangerous world has developed space travel. The implications hit the crew like a physical blow. If beings could thrive on such a hostile world, what would they be like? How would they view other species who lived on gentle, peaceful planets? What kind of technology would they develop, forged in the crucible of such an unforgiving environment? Captain, Zephyra said quietly, her scanner detecting something new. I think we have a problem. What now? One of those orbital objects is moving toward us, and sir, it's moving fast. The object approaching the Star Weaver defied every principle of spacecraft design that Captain Thorne knew. Where Galactic Council vessels were graceful curves optimized for maximum efficiency and minimal resource consumption, this craft was a brutal amalgamation of angles and armor plating. It looked like it had been built to ram through asteroid fields and survive direct hits from stellar radiation. Range closing fast, sir, Navigator Quilks reported, his crystalline form flickering with nervous energy. Whatever it is, it's not following standard approach protocols. Dr. Zephyra's scanners were working overtime, trying to penetrate the unknown vessel's hull. The materials alone are fascinating and terrifying. Some kind of metal alloy that's incredibly dense. This ship is built like a fortress. Are they responding to our standard greeting transmissions? Captain Thorne asked Communications Officer Lyra. Nothing on any frequency we know, sir, but I am detecting some kind of signal. It's different from anything in our databases. The unknown craft continued its approach, and soon it filled their view screen. Where council ships were beautiful expressions of advanced engineering, this vessel looked like it had been forged in the heart of a star. Weapon ports were clearly visible, and the entire design spoke of a species that expected to fight for survival even in the vacuum of space. "Sir, incoming transmission," Lyra announced, her gossamer wings trembling. "They're using a primitive but effective communication protocol. I think I can establish a link." "Do it." The main screen flickered, and suddenly they were looking at a creature that made everyone on the bridge instinctively step backward. It was bipedal like several known species, but there the similarity ended. Where most intelligent life forms had evolved past the need for physical intimidation, this being looked like it could tear through bulkhead plating with its bare hands. Its face was covered with hair, unusual for spacefaring species. Small, forward-facing eyes suggested a predator's heritage. When it opened its mouth to speak, they could see teeth designed for tearing and crushing. Everything about this creature screamed apex predator. "Greetings," the being said, its voice carried across space by technology that should have been primitive but somehow worked perfectly. "This is Commander Sarah Chen of the Earth vessel, Resilience. You're in human space. State your intentions." The directness was shocking. No formal greetings, no cultural exchange protocols, no careful diplomatic overtures. This human simply demanded to know what they wanted. Captain Thorne gathered his courage. "I am Captain Vex Thorne of the Galactic Survey Commission vessel, Starweaver. We're conducting a routine survey mission." The human's expression shifted, and Thorne realized with growing alarm that this might be what their species considered a smile. It showed even more of those predator teeth. "Survey mission. You've been scanning our planet for the last 6 hours. Our sensors picked up your ship the moment you entered the system." Dr. Zephyra leaned forward, her scientific curiosity overriding her fear. "Commander Chen, if I may ask, your world registers as the most dangerous planet we've ever encountered. How is it possible that your species not only survived, but achieved spaceflight?" The human's laugh was perhaps the most unsettling sound any of them had ever heard. It was rich and genuine, but coming from a creature that looked like it could kill with its bare hands, the effect was deeply disturbing. "Dangerous? Earth?" Commander Chen shook her head. "I suppose it might seem that way to... What are you exactly?" "Your ship design suggests you're used to more peaceful environments." "I'm Altarian," Zephyra replied. "Our homeworld has a gravity of 0.8 standard, mild temperature variations, and a peaceful ecosystem. Your world shows gravity 1.2 times standard, with an oxygen atmosphere that would be corrosive to most species." "Oxygen's great stuff," the human said casually. "Really gets the blood flowing, and the gravity keeps us in good shape. Though I guess it might be tough for visitors who aren't used to it." The casual way this human discussed what should be lethal environmental conditions sent chills through the bridge crew. "Your scans show massive predators on your planet," Navigator Quilks interjected, his crystalline form resonating with disbelief. "Creatures that should make complex civilization impossible." Commander Chen's expression grew thoughtful. "You mean like sharks? Or maybe the big cats? Yeah, we've got some impressive wildlife. But that's part of what makes Earth beautiful. The diversity, the challenge, it keeps life interesting." "Keeps life interesting?" Captain Thorne couldn't hide his horror. "Commander, our biologists classify your world's life forms as universally hostile. How do your people survive?" The human actually chuckled. "Survive? Captain, we don't just survive. We thrive. Earth made us strong, adaptable, resilient. Every challenge our planet threw at us, we found a way to overcome it. Predators? We became better predators. Hostile environment? We adapted and learned to use it to our advantage." "But the evolutionary pressure," Dr. Zephyra protested. The energy requirements for maintaining civilization against such hostility. Pressure makes diamonds, Commander Chen said simply. Look, I understand this might be hard for species from gentler worlds to comprehend, but humans have been dealing with Earth's challenges for hundreds of thousands of years. Ice ages, volcanic eruptions, predators, diseases, natural disasters. Each generation that survived made us stronger. She gestured, and the view screen showed images from Earth. Humans swimming alongside creatures that looked like living engines of destruction. Humans climbing mountains that should have been impossible to scale. Humans diving to ocean depths that should have crushed their bodies. Humans thriving in frozen wastelands and scorching deserts. Your people, Captain Thorne said slowly. You actually seek out danger. We call it adventure, Commander Chen replied with another of those predator grins. Some humans spend their entire lives looking for new challenges. Mount Everest, deep-sea exploration, extreme sports. We have people who jump out of perfectly good aircraft for fun. The bridge crew exchanged glances of pure incomprehension. But surely, Quilks pressed, your advancement to spaceflight must have been incredibly difficult given your environmental constraints. Actually, Earth made space exploration easier in some ways. When you're used to dealing with life-threatening situations on a daily basis, the vacuum of space is just another challenge to overcome. Our astronauts train in conditions that would kill most other species, and they consider it routine. Dr. Zephyra was frantically taking notes. Commander, would it be possible to arrange some kind of cultural exchange? The Galactic Council needs to know about your species. The human's expression became more serious. The Galactic Council? Never heard of them. How many species are we talking about? Over 4,000 member civilizations, Captain Thorne replied. Commander Chen was quiet for a moment. 4,000 species, and none of them evolved on worlds like Earth? Commander, Zephyra said gently, your world is the most hostile environment we've ever encountered that supports intelligent life. Most council species evolved on what you would probably consider paradise worlds. The human nodded slowly. That explains a lot. Captain, I'm going to need to report this to my superiors. First contact with 4,000 alien civilizations is a bit above my pay grade. But I have to ask, are any of these species hostile? Hostile? Captain Thorne was confused. There are occasional disagreements, but the Council maintains peace through cooperation and mutual understanding. Uh-huh. And how do you handle species that don't want to cooperate? We try to understand their concerns and find mutually beneficial solutions. Commander Chen's expression suggested she found this approach both admirable and naive. Captain, I think you should know something about humans. We hope for the best, but we always prepare for the worst. Earth taught us that the universe isn't always friendly. What are you saying? I'm saying that when humanity joins this galactic council of yours, we're going to be the species that everyone calls when there's trouble. Because trouble, Captain Thorne, is our specialty. 6 months after first contact, the Galactic Council's greatest fears and highest hopes were both being realized simultaneously. The emergency session on Nexus Prime had drawn representatives from all 4,000 member species, and the massive council chamber buzzed with nervous energy in a dozen different atmospheric mixtures. Dr. Zephyra Krell stood at the central podium, her research notes scattered across the holographic display. As the xenobiologist who had first discovered Earth, she had become humanity's primary advocate and interpreter to the galactic community. Honored delegates, she began, her harmonic voice carrying across the vast chamber, the integration of humanity into our galactic community has proceeded far beyond our most optimistic projections. The massive screen behind her showed images from the past 6 months. Human engineers working alongside crystalline architects to build structures that could withstand both the gentle breezes of paradise worlds and the crushing storms of more hostile environments. Human doctors, working with their alien counterparts to develop medical techniques that combine the best of both approaches. Their adaptation rate is unprecedented, Zephyra continued. Where most species require years to adjust to new environments, humans have established thriving colonies on 17 different council worlds in less than 6 months. Ambassador Yelnek of the Etherian Collective, a being of pure energy contained within a stabilized force field, pulsed with concern. Dr. Krell, while human adaptability is impressive, there are growing concerns about their intensity. The chamber filled with murmurs of agreement from various species. Zephyra had expected this. Could you elaborate on these concerns, Ambassador? Yesterday, 3 human researchers volunteered to test our new deep space exploration suits by walking on the surface of a neutron star. When we explained that this would be lethal, they asked if they could bring backup suits in case the first ones failed. More murmurs rippled through the chamber. Zephyra sighed. Honored delegates, human risk tolerance is indeed different from ours. But their results speak for themselves. The display shifted to show breakthrough discoveries that had revolutionized galactic science in mere months. Humans had solved engineering problems that had stumped council scientists for centuries, not through superior technology, but through their willingness to attempt solutions that other species considered too dangerous to test. Council Prime Minister Zentara, a dignified Altarian whose long career had seen countless species join the galactic community, spoke from the center of the chamber. Dr. Krell, no one questions humanity's contributions, but we must address the elephant in the room. I believe the proper expression is the human in the room, Zephyra corrected gently, earning a few nervous laughs. Indeed, the human military applications of their natural abilities have some members concerned. The display showed footage from the recent crisis on Kalara Prime. A rogue AI had taken control of the planet's defense systems, trapping the population in their cities while automated weapons held them hostage. Council peacekeeping forces had been preparing for a months-long siege to slowly disable the systems without harming civilians. Then the humans had volunteered. The footage showed 12 human special forces operators dropping onto Kalara Prime in what other species could only describe as coffins with parachutes. They had infiltrated the AI's fortress, disabled its systems, and rescued the hostages in 8 hours. The Kelleran survivors, Zephyra noted, reported that the humans treated the mission as routine training. That's exactly the problem, Ambassador Thex of the Pacifican Assembly interjected, her crystalline form flashing with agitation. What humans consider routine training would be suicide missions for any other species, which is precisely why their integration has been so valuable, came a new voice from the back of the chamber. Every head turned as Captain Sarah Chen entered, now wearing the insignia of Human Ambassador to the Galactic Council. Her presence still had the effect of making other species instinctively check for exits, despite 6 months of peaceful interaction. Ambassador Chen, Prime Minister Zentara said carefully, we weren't expecting you until later in the session. I thought I should address some concerns directly. Chen walked to the center of the chamber with the easy confidence that marked her species. I've been monitoring the discussion, and I think there's a fundamental misunderstanding about human nature. She gestured, and the display changed to show images from Earth. Humans engaged in activities that would be impossible for other species. Mountain climbing, deep sea diving, extreme sports, rescue operations in hostile environments. You see us as violent or reckless, Chen continued. But what you're really seeing is humanity's greatest strength. We don't just adapt to hostile environments, we find ways to thrive in them. We turn obstacles into advantages. But, Ambassador, Dr. Krell interjected gently. Surely you understand why some species find human behavior concerning? Chen smiled, and by now the council members had learned to recognize this as a sign of amusement rather than aggression. Doc, 6 months ago, the Zephyrian mining operation on Titan 7 was considered a total loss. Hostile environment, equipment failures, no way to safely extract the workers. Yes, Ambassador Quilex confirmed. We had accepted the loss of our most valuable mining operation. One human engineering team not only saved the operation, but increased its output by 300%. They did this by using the hostile environment to their advantage instead of fighting against it. The display showed the transformed mining operation. What had been a desperate struggle for survival had become a model of efficient resource extraction. This is what humans do, Chen explained. We look at problems that other species see as impossible, and we find solutions. Not because we're smarter or more advanced, but because we're used to everything trying to kill us. The chamber was silent except for the hum of life support systems. The galaxy is full of unexplored worlds, Chen continued. Dangerous places that could hold incredible resources or scientific discoveries. Places where most council species can't safely go, but humans can. We can be your explorers, your emergency responders, your problem solvers for the impossible situations. And what does humanity ask in return? Prime Minister Zentara asked quietly. Chen's expression became serious. Partnership. Not domination, not special treatment. We want to be part of something bigger than ourselves. Earth made us strong, but it also taught us that survival is easier when you have friends watching your back. She gestured again, and the display showed recent cooperative projects. Human engineers working with alien designers to create technologies neither could achieve alone. Human explorers mapping dangerous worlds alongside alien scientists who provided expertise that humans lacked. Human medical researchers combining their trauma experience with alien healing knowledge to save lives across the galaxy. Humanity brings unique capabilities to the Council, Chen said. But we know we have a lot to learn. We're not trying to change how the galaxy works. We're trying to add our strengths to make it better. Dr. Zafira stepped forward. Honored delegates, I've spent 6 months studying human integration. What I've learned is that humanity's greatest strength isn't their physical resilience or their technological adaptability, it's their philosophy. Philosophy? Ambassador Yelnek pulsed with curiosity. Humans have a saying, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. It means taking negative situations and finding ways to make them positive. Earth gave them deadly predators, so they learned to be better predators. It gave them natural disasters, so they learned to be better engineers. It gave them hostile environments, so they learned to be better explorers. The display showed a final image. Humans and aliens working together on a massive space station. Humanity's resilience combined with the galaxy's wisdom to create something greater than either could achieve alone. The question before us today, Chen said, isn't whether humanity is too dangerous for the Galactic Council. The question is whether the galaxy is ready for what we can accomplish together. Prime Minister Zentara looked around the chamber, seeing representatives from 4,000 species, many of whom were reconsidering their initial fears. Ambassador Chen, she said finally, welcome to the Galactic Council. We have a lot of work to do. The vote was unanimous. Humanity's integration was complete, and the galaxy would never be the same. For the first time in Council history, they had a species that looked at the universe's deadliest challenges and asked not whether they could overcome them, but how quickly they could get started. And in the depths of space, unknown dangers that had threatened civilizations for millennia would soon discover what it meant to face creatures from Earth's most lethal world.